Alright. For the record, I will restate for the VOD, I'm a dummy. And I've already done this on stream once, but I accidentally didn't highlight the first 10 quests patch 5.1. So we're gonna do it again. Doing it live. Shadowbringers, Part 3. Deep within the city of Amarot, Dacian Emet-Selk is at last brought low. You return to the Crystarium victorious, the people celebrating beneath the blessedly clear sky. Though your comrades are not yet able to return to the source, they bid you cross the rift and relay word of your success to Tataru and the others. For real this time. For real. Even though we've already done it, we're doing it again. And Liana! Gods, it's good to see you. I hope your being here means you've had your fill of rest? More than my fill. Well, you've certainly earned it. Not much has happened since your last visit. I had planned for you to meet that helper I told you about, but he refuses to answer his link pearl. I do hope he's alright. We've been exchanging messages with the Eorzean Alliance throughout, though. They say the fighting has finally stopped at the Gimlet Dark, and that the Empire has shown no sign of movement. Which means we might actually have a moment to ourselves for a change. Seeing as you're back, maybe you could tell me more about your time in the First. Great! Oh, and if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Flamine to join us. She'll want to know what happened to Minfilia, and I think it's best she hears it from you. We'll meet you on the terrace at the House of Splendors. And Liana, my, it's been too long. Doctor did mention I would be joining you, did she not? Thank you. Words cannot well express how I've longed to know more of the First. This world Minfilia had sacrificed so much to save. But come, rest your feet. Doctor should be arriving shortly. And so Minfilia chose to pass on her gifts to this next oracle? The girl who Thancred named Reen? Have such a burden thrust upon her as a child, only to embrace it when given the choice. In that respect, they are quite alike. It would seem her legacy is indeed in capable hands. And Liana, might I ask a favor when you next return to the First? Tell Reen what I cannot. Tell her, thank you. And I would offer thanks to you as well for staying with her to the end. Begging your pardon, but could I have a word? Raoul, I hope you're here to tell me you've received word from our helper. I wish. Nay, I've not heard a peep out of him, and it's been a good long while now. Too bloody long. On account of which, I'm going to sneak over the border and see if I can get a signal to him from closer up. What if they catch you? There must be another way. Well, it ain't as if I can ask Thancred to do it. Besides, I shouldn't have no trouble picking me way through Gimlet now that the fighting's died down. Gods know there's enough shadows to hide in. And it beats waiting around here twiddling me thumbs. Any road, I just thought I'd let you know. Now I'd best be... Ah, I nearly forgot. Growls at the stones and she wants a word. Something to do with the patients. She was getting ready to examine them again when I left. We best head back then. I'm sure it's important. Seems she's still examining them. Oh, I do hope it's nothing bad.
You're here. Good.
So, how are they?
Still locked in slumber, but otherwise in good physical health. For the present, at least.
For the Oh no, is something wrong with them?
I accidentally skipped a dialogue box there, trying to close the chat log. Tataru just said, "For the present!" Exclamation point.
I'm afraid there may be. I summoned you after detecting faint signs of instability in Thancred's corporeal ether. But subsequent examination suggested all 5 might be affected. And when I examined them just now, my fears were confirmed. Tellingly, the degree of instability varies between them. Thancred exhibits the most notable signs, followed by Y'shtola and Urianger. The twins' ether, meanwhile, remains relatively stable, but there is a change there too if one knows to look for it.
Hold on. Isn't that the order they were called away in?
Indeed. Which leads me to believe the instability will only increase with time. Though I can but speculate, I fear this may be a symptom of a weakening link between body and soul.
By the gods! What happens if the link is broken?
I cannot say for certain. This is all unknown territory to us. Yet whatever happens, it cannot be good. Mercifully, the instability is still only slight. And you may rest assured Master Matoya and I will do everything in our power to keep it from worsening. Be that as it may, it is imperative that you find a way to restore our friends' souls to their bodies.
Leave it to me.
Thank you.
But where's she even supposed to start? We had the greatest minds in the realm hunting high and low for an answer, and they ran out of places to look.
You stated in your report that the Exarch had originally intended to reverse the summoning process by means of his own death, correct? Raha always was a reckless young fool, ready to die for the first righteous cause that came along. His plan might well have worked, but I, for one, am glad he never had the opportunity to see it through. Even if it does mean our friends must remain stranded a while longer. There is another way, I am sure of it. And the key lies with him, with the Exarch. Pray return to the First and apprise him and the others of the situation. We, meanwhile, will do what we can from here. And, if the fates are kind, we will have good news to share upon your return.
Ah, Kiliana, you have returned. I hope your time in the source was suitably restful. But of course it wasn't. Go on. The corporeal ether shows signs of instability. The gods, the possibility never even occurred to me. You've returned in the hope that my research has yielded a solution. I fear you will be sorely disappointed. I just read that while muted. God darn it. Bad. Alright. So the garbage that the Crystal XR just said. The corporeal ether shows signs of instability. By the gods, the possibility never even occurred to me. You've returned in the hope that my research has yielded a solution. I fear you'll be sorely disappointed. But a mercy we have the likes of Master Matoya keep our friends, and Mr. Skryl to keep our friends' bodies safe, while we wrestle with the problem. They cannot forestall the separation of the body and soul indefinitely. Come, the others must be told. I need to not mute myself. Silly goose. Now we're telling the others.
Pray excuse my late arrival.
Will Thancred and Reen not be joining us?
Nay, milady. With apologies to all, they beg leave to pursue their investigation of the empty to its conclusion. Should matters here demand their presence, however, they did assure me that they would make themselves available.
Yes, of course. Then let us proceed. I think it best that you begin by providing a summary of Mistress Kryl's findings.
I suppose it was only to be expected that some change would occur.
Yet our souls seem unaffected, to my eye at least. How long they will remain so is another question. Kryl is right. It is imperative we find a way to return to the source.
Perhaps an explanation of the method by which I brought you here will yield some inspiration. Ere I begin, it must be noted that I am by no means a gifted mage. In order to employ powerful magics, I must rely upon the Crystal Tower and its boundless reservoirs of energy. The magic that summoned you was no exception. 'Tis a singular spell, adapted through painstaking effort from the technique that transported me to the first. To use an analogy, it works by cutting a hole in the fabric of reality. A hole tailored to the object of summoning, through which it and it alone may pass unscathed. Though I succeeded in creating said hole, I failed to latch onto my intended target. Instead of you, the spell found those close to you, and ended up summoning them in their incomplete state. I would not soon throw my life away, not after the lengths you and yours went to save it. And so long as I breathe, I will spare no effort to see you safely home. But should all else fail, and your lives be at stake, there remains one sure method.
Bonk.
Ow!
Oh, God, the soggiest cat in the world just jumped in my lap. Oh, you're so soggy.
How can you even entertain such thoughts? You owe your life to the Warrior of Light, and you don't get to die unless she says so.
I do not say so.
Your followers await your divine judgment.
What did you just...
If the two of you have finished, perhaps we could return to our discussion? Rather than dwelling upon the multiple failed attempts at transference, I think it would behoove us to focus on the solitary's success. I would draw your attention to the fact that our friend can travel between worlds possessed not only of her body and soul, but her personal effects besides. This is no different from the teleportation magics to which we are all accustomed. Magics that allow for the transportation of those inanimate objects one considers to be an extension of oneself.
Are you suggesting that simply by considering us her possessions, she could carry our souls back to the source upon her person?
Well, it would be nice if things were that simple for a change. But vague notions of ownership seem a rather tenuous thing to stake our lives on. So much as a moment of doubt on her part and we'd be left floating in the rift.
Milady hath the right of it. The requisite fixity of belief would be too much to ask even of our friend. Yet were we to immure our souls within an object in her possession, mayhap then our safe passage could be assured. White Auracite would, I believe, serve as a suitable vessel for this purpose. It was conceived to imprison the massy soul of an Ascian, and should house one of ours with relative ease. We would need only to ensure our soul's safe preservation inside the stone, and identify a means by which they might be transferred back unto our vacant bodies.
Soul preservation and transference. I believe I know of someone who may be able to assist us. On the far shore of the source, there stands a great palace built by the elves. It was forsaken in the wake of the flood, but a certain Numo chose to make their home there soon after. Though they have long lived as a recluse, they once
Well, I've no objection.
Cat, you're literally
But if they've gone to
ruining
such
everything.
lengths to hide themselves away from the world, what makes you think they'd be willing to lend
dumped my
us one?
controller.
A worthy question. Years ago, I myself tried and failed to solicit their cooperation in the battle against the Sin Eaters. No sooner had I begun to make my plea than they unleashed a swarm of their familiars upon me. Unlike me, however, you have curried favor with the Fae folk. By that merit alone, I am hopeful that they would grant you an audience. They may still be inclined to turn you away, of course, but if their knowledge might feasibly facilitate your return home, we have to try.
The world's soggiest cat decided that this was a good time to try and jump all over me. Jumped on my controller and skipped a dialogue box. Yeah, you, little poop head. The Grand Cosmos, that is, the palace we seek, stands on the opposite shore of the source. I will arrange for a boat to carry us there. Whilst thou journeyest thither, I think it best that I devote mine energies to the creation of white auracite, by thy leave, of course. The process requireth no small amount of time, and should the Numo consent to lend us their aid, we will have need of a suitable vessel ere long. Agreed. Then I would ask the rest of you to meet me in the Sullen. And do be prepared for a warm reception. Were you out in the rain, Buster? Yeah, you can't snuggle with me. You're soaking wet. I know. I'm awfully mean. Yeah, Exarch Graha is so very, very strict. God damn it, the auto I'll remember how to be a streamer one of these times. Okay. As I told you before, I had scarcely set foot on the palace grounds when I was set upon by our host familiars, and I expect our reception today to be no different, which is why I propose we march through the main gate, weapons drawn. I'm sorry, but are we not here to petition for assistance? You can't honestly think barging in looking for a fight is going to persuade them. Actually, I believe the Exarch may have the right of it. They have no doubt poured a great deal of time and energy into their creations. Were I them, I should be most interested to meet with those who would overcome my defenses. As would any true seeker of knowledge, and there is little we can say or do to convince them to help us if we know nothing of their character, nor less why they chose to hide themselves from the world. But if we seize their interest, mayhap we can earn ourselves an audience. Weapons drawn it is, then. Though I must say, Exarch, you certainly seem to be enjoying all this. Do I? Well, I will not deny that I enjoy the thought of fighting alongside you all, rather than pacing about inside the Crystal Tower. You both seem to be in rather high spirits, if you ask me. Not that I'm surprised. Your moods invariably improve when Kinliana is around. What exactly are you implying? She averted a calamity, and the light which seemed destined to consume her has been extinguished. It is only natural that we would be pleased to see her. Yes, well, you will have plenty of time to celebrate her good health after we've finished here. Of course. Then let us proceed to the palace. That's why it hits hard, though, when Graha goes full Exarch mode in Thavnir. Like, take a deep breath. I'ma beat the shit out of some people. Alright. Yeah, sorry, Graha, you're not invited. I love and respect you, but this is the squad. I love my... Oh, God, I didn't turn on the things. Again, someday... it's been 3 months, you know? It's gonna be a small growing curve, learning pain, growing pain, learning curve. The words were there. They were there, I swear. Skip playback. Go. Oh, this dungeon. I used to get this dungeon all the time, an expert. Should you value your lives, you will quit this place at once and be gone with you. A rather ominous welcome. From ageless sleep I bid thee rise. Man, I'm gonna forget how to play 90 Paladin at this rate. I've been playing so much 80 Paladin between T and this. I mean, luckily there's not exactly much difference. It's just buttons get stronger, hee-hee combos at the end. God. Alize, best girl, and none can tell me otherwise. I love how they tease her about her infatuation with the Warrior of Light. Look how they make mess of my floors. Swish and flick, my lovelies. Swish and flick. God, I'm just thinking about this AU that I started that I want to finish, but I'm just not sure how I want to structure it. I got bad fan fiction on the noggin now. Someone got me on a soulmate AU shit. No one can stop me. You insist on making a mess of my palace, then you leave me no choice.
Let's give them a show!
Ugh, insufferable, the lot of you. I will spare you. And that dialogue's not here in the chat. Bummer. I will spare you. That's all you get to know. But only this once. Now leave me be. Damn, I don't think I'm gonna last as long as I wanted to tonight. Unfortunately, we're not gonna get a lot done for this session of New Game Plus, it would seem. There are 10 quests in 5.1. I'm so mad I didn't highlight that part. What a dumbass. Oh well. I must have done it all in one sitting. This streamer is why you always highlight shit the night of, so you don't forget. But I'm not going to let New Game Plus sit as long as I did last time. Even with Mass Effect, it's nice to intersperse here and there, I think. Maybe I'll turn, like, I think post-raid sessions will be, I think, New Game Plus time. Instead of switching games, like an entirely new gear, I think that, like, Monday and Thursday, the short raid days, I think those are going to be good days to mix with New Game Plus. And then have Mass Effect after speedrun streams or like the long Sunday raids. Yeah, because now that, like, I slowed down when I did, because, like, I knew that Endwalker wasn't going to come out until April, and then I and then I slowed down too much. Because I still want to do New Game Plus for a lot of the side stories too, like the 24-mans, the class quests. I really want to redo the class quests because I need that deep lore. Oh, it resisted stun. Makes my head. See, you cannot be dissuaded from your misguided path. A pity. Let's see how many vault stacks I collect this time. You have sullied these halls long enough. Come, Lucas, our guests yet want for company.
That was my fiercest familiar. Oh, impressive.
Backlogue, 'tis good to see you again after all these years. And judging by your vigorous greeting, I dare say the feeling is mutual. To be sure, a simple shake of the hand would have sufficed by way of welcome, but I shan't complain. But you must be wondering as to the purpose of our visit. We come to beg your assistance in a most urgent matter.
Shake? Beg?
Our comrades' very souls are in danger. If we are to save them, we will need the benefit of your unsurpassed knowledge on the matter. Please, will you not sit and hear our plea?
Oh, Graha.
Oh,
What an asshole.
How dare you? How dare you speak thus in my presence?
The words of power!
It was to escape such words of temptation that I hid myself from the world of men. You are sinners, one and all, and I swore never again to have any part in your affairs.
I can only imagine what terrible events forced you into a life of seclusion. But I know that the Numo are a good and noble folk. It is not in your nature to turn a blind eye to the plight of those around you. And in treating with us, I am certain whatever mistrust you feel for man will begin to heal.
If you will not be satisfied, I suppose I could listen. After all, there's no harm in just... No, I mustn't. Not again. That damn court mage seemed to have the best of intentions too, and countless innocents died for my naivety. Oh, you know not what you ask of me, what horrors my knowledge has wrought.
Refuse all you want. We won't lie down and accept defeat. No, actually, you mean the magical plague of Verbert?
You know of the plague? Then you know how dangerous soulcraft can be. Instead of saving your friends, you risk damning them. Are you sure you're willing to take that chance?
No. No.
Oh, very well. I will hear your petition, but that is all. And I expect fitting payment for my troubles.
Commensurate with your contribution to our cause. No more and no less, I promise you. With that settled, might I impose upon you to join us at the Crystarium? I'm afraid the nature of my friend's predicament calls for absolute secrecy.
There you are. The others have gone ahead to the Crystal Tower with Beklug. For the record, I truly wish we hadn't had to resort to using such words when treating with them. I have ever sought to convince, not compel. Yet, I cannot deny that part of me is glad Urianger shared his knowledge of the Numo with us. Had he not, Beklug wouldn't be here. Speaking of whom, we should hurry. To keep our guest waiting would only add insult to injury. We mustn't dally here any longer, Kinliana. If Beklug is to hear the truth of our travails in the first, you of all people should be present. Figure we'll probably go till 11. I'd go longer, but actually fading fairly fast, and also have a very early doctor's appointment. So that'll be fun, waking up like an hour and 50 minutes earlier than I usually do for the day. That's not true. I'm probably going to get up at about an hour earlier than I usually do. Hour 20.
I'm sorry. You mean to tell me not only that the return of night was your doing, but that you hail from another world as well?
Everything we told you, of the source, the shards, the 7 umbral calamities, all of it is true. I realize how fantastical it sounds, and I would not blame you for doubting our testimony. But given your expertise, you must surely have noted the peculiar nature of their souls.
Any other time and I would have dismissed your stories as balderdash and flummery. But upon closer inspection, 'tis plain their souls are far denser than is normal, and that they do not possess true bodies. Save you. Your body is your own. And your soul is the densest of them all.
As I said before, were it not for their heroism, the skies over Norvrant would still be awash with light, the realm yet at the mercy of Vorthri and the Sin Eaters. After all they have done for our home, seeing them safely back to their own, it seems the very least we can do.
Your tale is intriguing. Yes, very intriguing indeed. Simply to hear it is fitting payment in itself. As for your friends, I can but agree. Their valorous deeds on behalf of Norvrant are deserving of recognition, of their own fitting payment.
You will help us then?
I will. I would see my knowledge put to good use for a change. I do have one condition, however. I am not the spry young Numo I once was. As such, I will require assistance in my fieldwork and testing.
It would be our pleasure. We'll be laboring for our own benefit after all.
Working from home tomorrow? Hell yeah. Yeah, now I've got a early AF doctor's appointment. But then luckily I get to work from home for the day. Once I do clock in. You've spun quite a tale, but tell me, have you given any thought as to how you might return to your world? White Orosite, you say? An intriguing proposition, but one which fails to account for the present state of your souls. They have become highly charged, likely as a consequence of having maintained tangible forms for so long. In such an energetic, unstable state, there's no telling what may happen to their souls within the Orosite. They could very well become immutable to transference, never to be restored to their bodies. Then, would it be possible to force our souls into a state of dormancy prior to the transference? In theory, yes, but the soul is not a candle to be snuffed out and relit on a whim. Well, that sounds ominous. What exactly would rendering our souls dormant entail? In order to maintain a corporeal form, your souls constantly draw ether from your surroundings. This process must be halted, and the resulting surfeit of ether removed. Your minds would ultimately be separated from these faux bodies of yours, rendering you incapable of interacting with the world around you. A cruel fate under normal circumstances, but one which will be rectified upon your return home. Leaving lifeless husks, like those poor souls at the inn at Journey's Head, corrupted by the Sin Eaters, their ether made stagnant by the light. Corrupted? Stagnant? Might I see these unfortunate individuals? Why? Do you think you might be able to help them? I might, or I might not, but I shan't know for sure until I have seen their condition firsthand. And I would be glad to take you to them, on the understanding that you won't do anything which might increase their suffering. It was my faith in man I lost, not my compassion. Well, I see no need for all of us to accompany you. Will you escort our guests to the inn? I will assist Orianger in creating the requisite Orosite. I believe my talents would be better applied to that endeavor as well. Might I leave the three of you to assist Becklug as necessary? Let's make for Amarang then. This is Halric, is it? Yes, his etheric balance leans perilously towards the light, towards stasis. What do you suppose will happen to him? Not too bright, are you, boy? The same as all poor souls corrupted by the light. He will become a Sin Eater. You don't know that. We defeated the Wardens and banished the light from the night sky. Halric was completely unresponsive before, but now... Perhaps there's yet hope. I may. There's a treatment I wish to administer to the patients. What sort of treatment? In my course of studies of the soul, I once created a tonic which could temporarily stimulate the ether in one's body. After some refinement, it came to be used by the Knights of Verbert. Then for far darker purposes. Lest it fall into the wrong hands, I swore never again to make it, but for their sakes I will break that oath. It's not like to reverse the stagnation, mind you, but it should offer some measure of relief. Hodden stares blankly at you. It would seem the tonic has had no effect. What is this warmth I feel in my chest? I feel warm. And my legs, they don't feel as heavy. Now then, have you noted any change in the patients? A notable rise in body temperature and increased motor function, in most of the patients at least. The most severely afflicted show no response. As I feared, then. It is true that with the restoration of night, the corrupting influence of light will no longer grow, and yes, their bodies will naturally return to equilibrium given time, but this holds true only for their corporeal ether. Their incorporeal ether, that of the soul, is not so easily mended. Which is why those in the later stages of corruption, like Halric, appear unaffected by your tonic. Precisely. The boy's soul is too far gone, his mind held together by the finest of threads. There's a chance he may one day recover, of course, but it could take years, decades even. By the gods, he could wake to find himself an old man. A fine reward for his persistence, the opportunity to mourn the life he'd never had a chance to live. No, there must be something we can do. Look, I realize this is not why we petitioned your aid, but do you think it possible we can find a way to hasten the recovery? Maybe. Nor do I think it impossible that in treating them, we might learn something of the relevance to your own predicament. I suspect the Crystal Exarch has told you of my past, that I was once a mage of the Royal Court of Verbert, and that soulcraft was my field of study. The tonic you administered to the patients here is one of the fruits of my labors. I hope to do great things for the kingdom. But in the end, my knowledge brought only suffering, a plague by the likes of which none had ever seen. In the hands of unscrupulous men, which should have been my greatest triumph, instead became my greatest shame. And now you have a chance to redeem yourself. That I do. A comforting thought indeed. But let us return to the task at hand, finding a means by which we might revitalize these people's incorporeal ether. Do you think it can be done? With the skies still ablaze with primordial light, I would call it an exercise in futility, but now we may have a chance. The method I have in mind will entail the conjuring of a familiar. They are able to amplify the energies poured into them, making them the perfect conduit for the ether-revitalizing magics we will ultimately employ. If you're about to launch into a lengthy explanation of the metaphysics of your plan, don't bother. I'd rather get on with doing whatever it is that needs to be done if it's all the same to you. Whatever reagents we must procure, or spells invoked, I'll do it. I admire your spirit. Very well, your first task will be to gather the necessary materials. The purest of waters and the finest of clays, as well as a fey lantern brimming with pixie magic. If you're convinced the resulting familiar could help the patients, fine. Alfino, the water and the clay will be simple enough, but I think you know what we'll have to do to get the lantern. You don't mean... The pixies took quite a liking to us before. If we humor them with our company, I'm sure they'll be willing to help us. Fine, we'll pay a visit to Ilmeg, though I never thought you would be the one to suggest going back there. I'm impressed you've been there at all, let alone befriended the Fey folk. Oh, while you're about it, seek out the new Mo of Plaeni. They will be able to supply you with water suitable to our needs. Right, let's get this over then, shall we? That still remains the matter of the clay. Might it prevail upon you to find it? Clay from Amarang would likely be best. Know you anyone who might be able to assist us? Could ask the miners at Twine. Ah, yes, they'll be able to point you in the right direction, I'm sure. While you and the twins are occupied, I will see if there's aught else I can learn of the stagnation which afflicts the people here. Giliana, what a welcome coincidence! I'm in a good time. We've just this moment just finished repairing the Talos and the trolley you took to Nabatha. The trolley was no trouble, but the Talos would have been another matter had we not had a visit from Master Chai. He offered us a share of the leftover building materials from Daedalus Stoneworks, as well as a few trade secrets to help us along. Of a man that Chai does, he seemed pretty keen on the ideas I had for putting the giant Talos to work. Like a giant trolley, but Magnus still refuses to see all the good we could do with it. You're entitled to your dreams, Jarek, but that doesn't mean you can go harassing our guests with them. Master Chai was just being polite. And something tells me Kiliana didn't come all this way to talk about trolleys. What is it you need, friend? I see, and this familiar requires clay from Amarang? Well, look no further. If anyone can find you some quality clay, it's us. Saying that, it isn't exactly a commodity nowadays, but there must be some lurking somewhere or other, waiting to be dug up. If I'm not mistaken, there was a time when they used to take clay from Mount Biran mines to make adobe bricks. The place is swarming with coyotes now, but if you're after good stuff, you could do worse than look there. Oh, I just realized that I have to do the whole China is becoming the mayor thing again, I think. Pretty sure that's the end of this patch. Ugh. If only I'd just remembered. Okay, Dulia Chai makes it all worthwhile. She is a good noodle. The bestest of girls. My friend made a joke about cosplaying Dulia Chai at the next fan fest and making it a contractual obligation to hug every Alpha No cosplayer she sees. Twins have returned, and in one piece at that. I was convinced the pixies would turn at least one of them into a garden ornament, but no. You have the clay, I take it. Wonderful. We need but combine the clay and the water, then heat the mixture with the Fey Lantern. After that, it will be a simple matter of settling upon a suitable form, and performing the necessary incantation. Beck-Luke, I have a question. In the event we have need of this spell and you weren't around, would it be possible for another to perform the incantation? Assuming they possess the requisite skill, yes. Alric and the others have suffered so much, and I swore to do everything in my power to save them. There's a chance this spell could do that. I would be the one to invoke it. Mayhap you should be the one to do so. A deep understanding of the subject's physical state, combined with a strong desire to help them, can drastically increase the magic's effect, and you are plainly more familiar with these people than I. I dare say there are few in all of Norvrent more dedicated to finding a cure. Is that not so, Kiliana? Absolutely. She's the best woman for the job. I'll give it my all for Halric, for Tesleen. Then we are all of mind on the matter. Alize shall be the one to conjure the familiar.
Let us begin. I trust you've prepared the clay? Very good. Now, I would have you sculpt for me a porksy. Plump, with floppy ears and a short curly tail.
A porksy. I think I know what you mean. There we are. How's that?
Well, it is certainly creative. There's no denying that.
Yes, I'm no artist. Very funny.
Pay him no mind, child. Though it may look like a grotesque parody of reality, it is what the invoker believes that matters.
You're not helping.
But I speak the truth. If successful, this incantation will turn imagination into reality. Which is why the only thing of import is what you believe this figure embodies. You must focus. Hold the Porksy's image steady in your mind's eye. Now then, as I taught you, relax and allow your energies to flow.
With flesh of clay I bid thee rise, on wings of dreams to touch the skies. What once was idle fantasy, I call forth to reality.
Not bad for a first attempt. Now, let us see what can be done for young Halric. Through the operation of the magics you invoked to animate this familiar, it is now replete with the energies required to stir the boy's soul. You need but give it a name, and it will do as your heart desires.
A name. All right, I've decided. Now. Go, Angelo!
Mother,
How is he, Beck-Luke? Did it work? I believe it did. You and your fledgling familiar have done well. My eyes do not deceive. A hint of color has returned to his soul. Gods, I would jump for joy if I weren't so exhausted. So close now, Halric. But you are even now in process of as you are even now in the process of discovering, this magic asks much of the invoker. What you may not have realized is that the same is also true of the subject. As such, we must proceed with caution. However, with further treatment, I have the utmost confidence the boy will make a full recovery. Observing the reanimation of his stagnant soul has been most enlightening. I will need time to put my theories to the proof, but I believe I can fashion a spell to produce the opposite effect, that is, to induce stagnation, thus enabling our safe transport back to the source via Auracite. A thought occurred to me about this treatment. Beck-Luke said when the soul is rendered dormant, the mind is separated from the body, that a person becomes incapable of interacting with the world around them. That not sound a lot like some of the tempered back in the source? Not really. It is of the fate of most tempered to become slaves to the primals, save in a handful of cases, or if I'm missing something. If I can master this technique, the art of revitalizing the soul, I know of at least one in the source who could desperately use such treatment. Gaboo. Exactly. His condition is uncannily similar to Halric's, is it not? The only difference being that his soul was suffused with earth-aspected ether instead of light. It follows that if his soul is subject to a similar kind of stagnation, there may be a chance we can save him, right? Forgive me, but who is this Gaboo fellow of whom you speak? See, his condition does sound similar, yet there is much and more about the soul that remains unknown even to me. I say this not to discourage you, you understand, but to remind you that this is delicate work we do here, work requiring patience. Of course, and as long as there's hope for the patients here, I will devote whatever time is needed to see this through. But I still refuse to spend the time in idleness. All the same to you, I'd like to stay here with Angelo and continue with their treatment. The two of you should return to the Crystarium with Beck-Luke and see if you can't make some headway with the newly posited theories. I will tell you the rest first, but I see you're not to be convinced. Ah, the fire of youth. Let's return to the Crystarium then. Finally, I found you! Kaishir, what are you doing all the way out here? There's trouble back in Yulmore. Lady Chai's beside herself, sighing, pacing the whole lot. Near enough begged me to go and find you. Sighing and pacing, you say? It's be urgent. I take it I will be returning to the Crystarium alone. Go on then. It's not as if I have anything for you to do. Thank you, Beck-Luke. Sorry for bothering you and all that, but she says the future of Yulmore's at stake. And that's where we'll leave it off, because I think this is, yeah, it's like split into two parts. Yeah, this is Nowhere to Turn. Because this patch was 10 quests. And I believe... yeah, we're 5 in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, that's halfway through 5.1. Again, apologies that, you know, I've already played this, but dumbass forgot to highlight it. So here we are, doing it again. But I will not let it last 2 months without the next time. For sure, the plan is for more New Game Plus, probably after raid days, just to kind of not have to worry about swapping around games and stuff. But thanks for hanging out with me tonight. It was a nice chill time. I have to go pass out and wake up stupid early tomorrow. So I will hopefully catch you. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and I have no raid, so it'll probably be a speedrun day. A speedrun plus Mass Effect kind of deal. We shall see, but hopefully see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.